The city of Tokyo doesn't really sleep. It just changes color at night. Rain slides down glass towers, neon signs flicker like dying fireflies, and somewhere in the labyrinth of alleys and train lines, stories dissolve into the dark. Stories that no one believes, but everyone feels. Ethan Cole was one of those people who believed in logic. As software engineer from London, precise, calm, emotionally guarded, he liked structure. But maybe that's exactly why chaos found him. He arrived in Japan to escape the noise of his life, as he told his friends, a 2-week solo vacation, a reset. But the irony is that he stepped straight into a noise that never left his head again. The night Ethan arrived, the sky was the color of wet cement. He dragged his suitcase through Shinjuku's late-night buzz, umbrellas bumping, the smell of ramen and rain in the air. He found his hotel, the Hoshima Grand. Despite its name, it was far from grand. A 6-floor building squeezed between a convenience store and an old antique shop. Its sign flickered, half the leggers dead. Inside, the lobby was small, quiet, too quiet for Tokyo. At the desk stood a woman, Aya, neat, polite, but something about her smile didn't reach her eyes. She spoke in calm, practiced English. "Good evening, Mr. Cole. You're in room 308. She hesitated for a split second, fingers frozen above the key card tray. Then, softly, almost like a whisper meant only for herself, she said, "Please, don't open the door if someone knocks past midnight." Ethan smiled awkwardly, assuming it was some cultural superstition. "Right, no ghosts, I promise." She didn't laugh.
His room was small but clean, paper-thin walls, the faint hum of traffic outside. The air smelled faintly of bleach and old wood. He set down his bag, took a shower, and collapsed onto the bed. At around 11:50 p.m., he heard muffled sounds from the next room. A man's voice, deep and angry. Then silence. Then a woman's sobbing. He thought of calling the front desk, but before he could, the sound stopped. At 12:37 a.m., 3 slow knocks echoed through his room. Not from the hallway, from his door. He froze. It wasn't like a drunk guest or cleaning staff. These knocks were deliberate, rhythmic. He remembered Aya's warning. He waited, didn't move. Then the knocking came again, softer this time, from somewhere inside the walls. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he asked Aya about the noises. She looked up sharply, then forced a small smile. "Your room is 308, yes?" "Yes," she said. "There's no room 309 on that floor." Ethan frowned. "But I heard voices from next door." Aya said nothing. She just lowered her eyes and said quietly, "Please don't go looking for it." That day, he tried to distract himself, walked through Shibuya Crossing, took photos of the crowds, visited shrines, but Tokyo felt different. It wasn't the language barrier or the culture shock, it was the silence between sounds, as if something was constantly following just a step behind him, unseen but very aware. When he returned that evening, the elevator light flickered strangely. Every time he passed it, the floor number blinked, 9, even though the hotel had only 8 floors. He mentioned it jokingly to Aya, but she didn't laugh. Her eyes darted to the ceiling and she whispered, "If it stops on the 9th, don't step out." That night, he couldn't resist. Curiosity is cruel like that. At 12:30 a.m., he stood in front of the elevator. The hallway lights dimmed slightly, like the building was breathing. He pressed the button. The elevator arrived instantly. Doors sliding open with a metallic sigh. Inside, the button for the 9th floor glowed faintly, though it shouldn't exist. He pressed it. The elevator jerked, lights flickering, the digital floor numbers glitched, 6, 7, 8, and then nothing. When the doors opened, the hallway looked almost identical to his, except for one thing. Everything looked aged, decayed,
Wallpaper peeling, carpet torn, a faint smell of mold and rust. A single door stood at the end. Room 909. Ethan stepped in. The room was an exact mirror of his, only time had destroyed it. Dust covered furniture, cracked TV, water stains spreading across the ceiling. On the table lay a passport. His passport. Same photo, same number, same name. But he had his passport in his jacket pocket. He checked, it was still there. Two passports, both real. His chest tightened. A faint humming noise filled the room, like a voice trying to form words. You shouldn't have come back, Ethan. The lights flickered. He turned, the door slammed shut. When he woke up, he was lying on the hotel bed again. Morning light seeped through the curtains. He laughed nervously. Maybe it was just a dream. But then, he noticed something. The TV remote was missing, and the table had dust on it, the same pattern he'd seen in the decayed room. He checked the bathroom mirror. There was something carved faintly into the glass. You were here before. Days passed, and Ethan changed. He barely left the hotel, barely slept. He kept hearing knocks, footsteps in the empty hallway, whispers in Japanese. He even started recording the sounds. In one recording, between static, a woman's voice whispered, "Don't open the door." He went to confront Aya, but the woman behind the counter wasn't Aya. "This is Aya's day off," said a different clerk. "She hasn't been here for 3 days." He showed the man a photo, a picture he had taken when he checked in. The clerk frowned. "Sir, that's not Aya. That's Miss Tanaka. She died 10 years ago." Ethan felt the floor disappear beneath him. That night, he decided to leave. He packed his bag, grabbed his passport, both of them, and headed to the elevator. The lobby was empty. No staff, no guests, only the hum of the vending machine. He pressed the button. The elevator doors opened immediately. The 9th floor button was glowing again. He didn't press it, but the elevator started moving up on its own. The floor indicator stopped at 9. The doors opened, and standing in front of him was Aya. Pale, expressionless, her uniform torn and faded. She looked straight at him. "You left the door open," she said softly. He stumbled back, pressing random buttons. The doors closed. The elevator didn't move. It just stayed there. Then the lights went out. When they came back on, he wasn't in the elevator anymore. He was back in his room. But it wasn't the same. The wallpaper was peeling, the floor soaked with water, the TV showed static. And in the static, he saw himself, standing in the elevator. He screamed, the sound echoing endlessly. Next morning, housekeeping opened room number 308. The bed was made. The window was slightly open. Ethan's luggage was there, his passport too. But no sign of him. Police reviewed the CCTV footage. At exactly 12:37 a.m., Ethan stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. The elevator never opened again on any floor. The hotel records showed something even stranger. Room number 308 had been vacant for 3 years. Weeks later, another tourist checked in. Daniel, a travel photographer. He found a small note under the bed, yellowed and damp. It read, "If the elevator takes you to the 9th floor, don't step out. EC." That night, at 12:37 a.m., Daniel heard 3 slow knocks. He walked to the door and listened. Then, the elevator dinged. He looked down the hall. The doors opened slowly. Inside stood a man, pale, motionless, wearing a black hoodie. He looked just like Ethan. The man smiled faintly.
and said, "Welcome back." They say Tokyo hides its ghosts behind neon lights, that every building has a shadow, every floor another version of itself. And sometimes, if you listen carefully after midnight, you might hear a knock from the room next to yours, the one that doesn't exist.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.